December 21, Pagan Worshippers, Matthew 2, 1 through 18. Now after Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judea in the days of Herod the king, behold, wise men from the east came to Jerusalem, saying, Where is he who has been born King of the Jews? For we saw his star when it rose and have come to worship him. When Herod the king heard this, he was troubled, and all Jerusalem with him. And assembling all the chief priests and scribes of the people, he inquired of them where the Christ was to be born. They told him, In Bethlehem of Judea, for so it is written by the prophet, And you, O Bethlehem, in the land of Judah, are by no means least among the rulers of Judah, for from you shall come a ruler who will shepherd my people Israel. Then Herod summoned the wise men secretly and ascertained from them what time the star had appeared. And he sent them to Bethlehem, saying, Go and search diligently for the child, and when you have found him, bring me word, that I too may come and worship him. After listening to the king, they went on their way. And behold, the star that they had seen when it rose went before them until it came to rest over the place where the child was. When they saw the star, they rejoiced exceedingly with great joy. And going into the house, they saw the child with Mary his mother, and fell down and worshipped him. Then, opening their treasures, they offered him gifts, gold and frankincense and myrrh. And being warned in a dream not to return to Herod, they departed to their own country by another way. Now when they had departed, behold, an angel of the Lord appeared to Joseph in a dream and said, Rise, take the child and his mother, and flee to Egypt, and remain there until I tell you, for Herod is about to search for the child to destroy him. And he rose and took the child and his mother by night and departed to Egypt, and remained there until the death of Herod. This was to fulfill what the Lord had spoken by the prophet, Out of Egypt I called my son. Then Herod, when he saw that he had been tricked by the wise men, became furious, and he sent and killed all the male children in Bethlehem and in all that region who were 2 years old or under, according to the time that he had ascertained from the wise men. Then was fulfilled what was spoken by the prophet Jeremiah. A voice was heard in Ramah, weeping and loud lamentation, Rachel weeping for her children, and she refused to be comforted because they are no more. There are other unlikely persons that God has chosen to let in on the truth of this amazing birth. Matthew tells us about these wise men from the east. This vague designation makes it difficult to know precisely who they might have been. The east could mean the area of Babylon, or even further to India. They appear to be astrologers, men who use the stars to interpret events. While the Bible condemns the practice of astrology, God uses what these pagans know to draw them to Jesus. He does this by breaking the rules of astrology. Planets and comets and stars follow predictable patterns that humans have studied throughout their existence. Now God allows these wise men to see a new star that behaves unlike any other star. Apparently, the star rose at the birth of Jesus, and the men made preparations, chose gifts, and set out on a long journey with the star guiding them. There is great drama in this story. When the foreigners show up in Jerusalem asking to be taken to see the newborn King of the Jews, they drop a bomb in the volatile political climate of Palestine. Herod the Great is not a Jew, but Rome has established him as king over Palestine. The Jews resent him, and he has never quite won them over. Herod is now near the end of his life, and he is descending into paranoia and madness. He fears that everyone is out to take the throne from him, and has even had several of his sons killed for fear of them. It is not surprising, then, that all Jerusalem is sent into a panic at the news of a newborn king of the Jews. Add to this the fact that none of the religious or political Jewish leaders of the day have a clue about what God is doing, and we have genuine cause for alarm. Herod rounds up the chief priests who run the temple and its service, as well as the scribes, who are the experts in every detail of Scripture. He demands answers. Herod knows that the Jews are eagerly awaiting a promised king, a son of David, an anointed one, Christ. So he asks where the scriptures say the Christ will be born. These people know their Bible and quickly quote Micah. The Messiah is to be born in Bethlehem of Judea. Herod is nothing if not crafty. He has not remained in power by chance. Having ascertained the city in which the Messiah is to be born, he still needs to locate the boy, so he summons the wise men again and pretends to join them in their sentiment. First, he asks to know exactly when it was that they first saw the star. This will give him an idea of the age of the boy. Once they find him, Herod asks that they let him know where the king is so that he can go worship him. God wanted to ruffle the feathers of the powers that be. The wise men did not benefit at all from anyone in Jerusalem. As soon as the conversation with Herod is over, God brings back that miraculous star and it moves ahead of them, leading them right to the house Jesus is staying in. Jesus is likely over 1 year old at this point. They are no longer in a stable, but in a house. Though our nativity scenes generally combine the shepherds and the wise men, they were likely over a year apart in their visitation times. There is also no indication of how many wise men came to see Jesus. They presented 3 gifts, but there is no reason to assume there were only 3 wise men. The men worshiped the baby boy. God warns the wise men not to go back to Herod, so they return home by another route. He also warns Joseph to flee to Egypt to protect Jesus. Herod eventually realizes that the wise men have chosen not to reveal the location of the Messiah to him, and he is livid. He orders the killing of every male boy 2 years old and younger in Bethlehem and in the surrounding region. He decided on the 2-year cutoff based on when the wise men told him they first saw the star. No doubt he rounded up to be sure, so likely Jesus was less than 2 years old at the time of his flight to Egypt. It is amazing that pagans understand the significance of who Jesus is and respond with the appropriate submission and respect, while the religious leaders in Jewish life will resist and oppose Jesus throughout his public ministry, finally having him put to death in the most cruel and humiliating way possible. With the arrival of God's King, our standing with God does not depend on where we start out, nor on how religious we are, but on what we do once we come face to face with Jesus. Will we give him our best and worship him as Lord and God? Or will we react like Herod? Will we go to any length necessary to try to be rid of Jesus?